Well, welcome back. Now, not satisfied with dragnet collection of our data on cell phones and the internet, now we learn that the feds are openly admitting that they're planning black box vehicle mandates to track, tax, and even remotely control all personal vehicles. This is from Mike Adams at Natural News. We covered this on InfoWars today. He makes three very important points. He said the government wants to track your every move. In other words, they want to decrease your privacy. Then he says governments can turn every road into a toll road. In other words, they're going to increase the taxes that you pay. And the third point he makes is that two-way communication allows government to control your vehicle. In other words, they're going to get physical control over you. Now, this is very pernicious because unlike the current tax, the road use tax that we have now, a tax on fuel, this is something that's not going to be anonymous. It's kind of like the analogy between a sales tax that is anonymous and an income tax where they have to know everything about you in order to collect it. That has a lot of people very concerned about the privacy implications of this. We've talked about this in the past. In April 2012, Paul Joseph Watson had a story talking about the implications of MAP 21. But main thing here, too, is also notice that this is a very deceptive agenda. This is something they've been hiding for quite some time. First of all, notice that they have a list of cars that going back by make and year, we see that these EDR black boxes were put in the 90s and mid-90s and late 90s. It's primarily some American car companies at GM and others. Then in 2011, we start seeing all of the car companies starting to add these boxes to it. Now 96% of them have it. At that time, in 2011, the Fed started requiring a standardized protocols in anybody that had installed these black boxes in their cars, the manufacturers who had installed them. And then subsequent to that, as part of MAP 21 in 2012, and this is a story that Paul Joseph Watson wrote about in April of 2012, InfoWars pointed out that there were a lot of very troubling things in that legislation. They were putting in powers for the IRS to stop you by accusing you of owing them money. But also in that document, back in the MAP 21, it makes the connection between funding and mandatory black boxes, which would be mandatory for all cars by 2015. So this is something that they've known about for quite a while, but notice the deception. They were telling everyone that this was simply about collecting a couple of seconds before and after you had a crash. That's for the insurance companies. Now they're admitting, with the articles that came out this weekend, the LA Times and elsewhere, they're admitting that they're storing all of that data. It's kind of like the prevarication about metadata versus collecting all of your other data. This is the way the government rolls this stuff out. This is the way they lie to people about it. MAP 21 is Agenda 21 for our transportation and our ability to move around. And also notice that at the top of this are the insurance companies. They're the big partners. They're the big thing driving this kind of corporate fascism with the insurance companies at the very top. The LA Times pointed out something that I find very troubling, an alliance between what they call libertarians and environmentalists on this new tax going through black boxes. And here's a quote from Adrian Moore, Vice President of Policy at Reason. He said, "This is not just a tax going into a black hole. People are paying more directly into what they're getting." Well, actually, they of all people ought to know that government is a black hole, especially Washington. But it's not just allocating it to what people are using. As I mentioned before, this is taking away the anonymity of a sales tax, of a gas tax that you would pay into what you're actually using. And it's also penalizing people who have taken it on themselves to get fuel-efficient cars. And the environmentalists of all people should understand that. So now they're going to be penalized. They went out, they bought these fuel-efficient cars. Now they're going to be charged not on the fuel that they use, but they're going to be charged on the miles that they drive. Why? So we can know everything about everybody and exert full control and raise taxes at the same time.
Welcome back into the Morning Zone on AM 650 KGAB. We are Cheyenne's #1 news talk. 37 degrees as we head toward near 50 today. Continue to offer our phone lines to you to talk about whatever might be on your mind this morning. 1-888-503-6500, 307-632-6500, or 632-3323. We'd had some problems with our phones earlier. May still have, but we'll get you on as best we can. Our engineer is on the way. And talk about whether it be Obamacare or anything else on your mind this morning. Good morning. You're on the radio.
Good morning, Dave.
How are you, Barbie?
Pretty good. You know, I have a suggestion with all the things that are going on right now, and we're talking about federal money, Common Core. You know, we have an MPO that stands up and talks about MAPS 21. You know, we spend an awful lot of money on studies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we study things that people aren't interested in, such as, you know, putting roads through their living room.
Right.
And we pay an awful lot of money for that. You know, what would be wrong with having somebody that is there for the people and helping them understand exactly what this federal free money is all about in each little project? Because there's no such thing as free money, Dave. There are these huge strings that are attached to the Common Core. There's federal mandates that are attached to this black box in our cars, which is supposed to be a safety feature.
Mm-hmm.
But in the long run, when you read it clearly, and I've only begun to study it, if they could tax, if you say you get a 600-mile allotment, if you go over that, you can be taxed for going over your allotted mileage. So I think, what about putting somebody in place, and I can't imagine that the people would really be opposed to that, that is looking out for the people's interest, and someone who will share with them, not I want, you know, I want this money, so we'll just take it free from the federals, that says, okay, this is what it means, guys. This is what you've sold and you've given up.
What you're talking about is like a public advocate for the people.
Yeah, basically, because we have people who are paid to do nothing but apply for grants, free money for everybody.
Sure.
And to get the public to really understand there is no such thing as free federal money. There are strings attached.
You're right.
And to have somebody that could go into detail and study and expose so people have a better understanding and could vote properly. What did that free money cost it? Was it a piece of our liberty? Was it a piece of our freedom? What's it doing to our children? You know, personally, I don't think, you know, with the Common Core, I don't want my kids being taught half the stuff. You know, I don't have kids in school anymore, but I have a ton of grandkids. You know, so I just think, what's wrong with coming to our city council, our county commissioners, and saying, you know, we need an advocate for all this federal money that you guys are so willing. It's free money, and let's take it.
Do we really want that to be a government person, though?
Well, you know, maybe we don't, because we need somebody who can be, can do both sides. This is what your benefit will be. This is what the negative will be.
Right.
But somebody who could truly explain to us what we just sold ourselves for.
But
because, you know, I've just begun the study on this black box in the car, and it's a federal mandate.
Now tell us about that.
And by
tell
the
us
NPO
about that.
standing up there and saying, you know, yes, this is a good thing. And, you know, everybody but M. Lee voting for, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Nobody talked about what the string was. They're just talking about this is free money. Grab it while we can. You know,
and that's always a
Wyoming
danger.
people in general have more pride than that. They're not moochers, and we're not moochers and looters.
No.
People by nature in Wyoming have a lot of pride. They have pride in their state, and when they're giving something, and it's just free money, we really need to think about what's attached and where could the person come from that would advocate and do nothing all day long but study what the attachment to the free money is.
Yeah, I would agree.
You know?
I
Because,
think,
you know, Brad always teased me. There's always free cheese in the mousetrap because it grabs the first one and the second one gets the free cheese.
yeah.
But who are we going to who are we sacrificing, guys?
Well, that's the question. You know.
You know, so I would just kind of want to put that out there that we seem to be have an endless amount of money to hire people to study and do these studies about all these things that, you know, nobody in this town really wants, and whether we should have the Greeley Highway fixed so that we put mediums in there and so it hurts the businesses on both sides, or, you know, we're going to put a road to somebody's grandma's kitchen. I mean, we pay for that.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't we pay for something that stands up and just explains, a non-partial person that could say, this is what your free money costs.
Yeah.
You know, give us
Not
a
a bad
better
idea.
better understanding. I just thought I'd throw that out there. You have a good day, Dave.
You too, Barbie. Thanks for your call. We appreciate it.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, we're going to have to go to the top of the hour, and we'll update you on the latest news and information and update you on what's happening around the world.
Good morning, Dave. This is Karen Stone calling in from Florida.
How are you?
And I am great. I wanted to share with everyone some of the things that we have just discovered. A plan called MAP 21 we have tied to Agenda 21, whereas MAP 21 is the transportation restrictions that fold under Agenda 21. Mm-hmm. Black boxes will be put on our cars, not necessarily to stop anyone from driving, but to tax people as they are driving, which again will restrict movement. MAP 21 diverts money from transportation of highways into things like walking trails and bike trails. Now, none of those are bad, but abused, they become bad, and then our highways deteriorate. So we have these things facing us, and I'm calling everyone in Wyoming to tell you guys we're facing this in Florida. We're working really hard to stop it. You have the opportunity to stop it before it gets there. Do that. Go into these programs, look up black boxes, and see exactly what they're going to do. 2015, all cars will have black boxes, just like all appliances will have smart meters. And they are designed to inhibit our movement and our growth and anything that we as individuals want to do.
Well, I appreciate the heads up. I appreciate you mentioning that and bringing that up. We hadn't had anyone really mention that before.
Very, very, very important. It's very important when we see a program to look to see where it came from, what's behind it, and who are the people that are actually funding it. Because the use of the warm, fuzzy words that makes us all feel good is what they go for. So it's an emotional response rather than a factual response. And we've got to look at the facts, and the facts are very clear. Our mobility, which Americans enjoy, will be prohibited.
Well, we thank you for your call and for your information. We appreciate that as always.
Thank you.
You have a great day.
If anybody has any questions, contact me at info@agenda21today.com. I'll be happy to share our information. We're putting up new information on the website, agenda21today.com. Please check it. Please check the facts. And it's very important that we know what goes on.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it.